It is pretty great.
Kim, this is fantastic!
Hey guys, Kiwi here, warning of spoilers for Breaking Bad, El Camino, and Better Call Saul up to Season 6, Episode 6. In this video, I'll be breaking down and discussing Episode 606, giving it a full review and recap. Now, I am doing this Episode 606 review during the Season 6 mid-season break, so I do have knowledge about what happens in Episode 607, although I'll try to keep things spoiler-free in that regard. Like the video if you end up enjoying it, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on Twitter for more Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad updates. If you really enjoy what I do here, maybe even consider checking out my Patreon or give back to the channel by clicking the super thanks button under the video. With that being said, let's jump into the breakdown. The episode starts with a Kim flashback of her as a kid, exactly a season since the first one. In this flashback, it shows a lot about Kim's relationship with her mother, along with her character in general. From this Season 5 Kim flashback, we learned that she had to be responsible from a young age, due to her mom being an alcoholic. So we thought Kim was possibly mature and righteous on the straight and narrow ever since childhood. Now with the Season 6 flashback, we learned that Kim's mom was also a con artist, and that she did take after her mother in regards to stealing and learning to trick people from a young age too. A big question amongst fans is wondering if young Kimmy was in on the con to steal the earrings. The way that she holds her mom's hand could signify that she was in on it, but I doubt it. The "I didn't know you had it in you" line that her mom says to her could have been the mom impressed with her pulling it off as well, but I think it was genuine surprise that Kim could even steal in the first place. And it really says a lot that her mom is proud of her for this instead of getting mad at her. Now considering the Season 5 flashback, Kim must have always seemed like a goody two-shoes to her mom up until this moment. The look Kim gives her mom in the car does seem like shock, and I don't think she was in on it or that her mom set her up to steal. I do think that Kim genuinely thought her mom was mad at her for stealing when they were talking to the manager of the store until they walked away and turned the corner to go to their car, having the mom make fun of the situation. It is possible that after this moment, Kim did start doing cons with her mom, and that this moment of Kim stealing was the origins of it. Kim possibly went down bad choice road as a child and a teen, which is what caused her to give her head a shake and change her life path as a young adult, moving to Albuquerque to become a lawyer with a workaholic tendency. I have a full discussion video breaking down this Kim flashback on the channel. This part of the review has kind of been an elaboration on that discussion, so check that out for a more in-depth breakdown. We then see Howard getting ready for the day in his guest house on his property in the current timeline. We see that money doesn't buy him happiness as he still has a huge home, but he's unhappy with his life and marriage. Speaking of, this is the first time we've ever seen his wife Cheryl on screen, someone who was mentioned during episode 604 while Howard was at therapy. Again, I have a full video discussing Howard and Cheryl, so check that out for a full in-depth discussion, but I will elaborate on the creators doing an amazing job implying the strain in their relationship. We know from the next episode that Howard has been in the guest house for the better part of a year, implying that he only started having real problems with his marriage after Chuck died. Not only that, but I think it's due to his namaste lifestyle. Even though Howard used the namaste lifestyle to try and be a better person, everyone can see right through it, even his wife. I think that Cheryl started to distance herself from him ever since he chose this new lifestyle, and that even she is sick of it, shown by her just ruining the peace symbol latte art that Howard made for her. It does suck how jaded she is towards him, as she should be supportive of him with whatever he needs to do to properly process Chuck's death, but this is the first time that we've ever seen her. For all we know, she could have been supportive in the past, but just eventually grew sick of the new namaste Howard instead of him going back to the way he used to be. And this is just me assuming things to possibly give her the benefit of the doubt. I'm not saying she's completely innocent, as we know that she isn't even willing to talk about anything important, as Howard told his therapist, but there has to be more to it that we just haven't seen. So next up, Howard meets with his PI at HHM, who shows him photos that we know will have a bit more nefarious purpose than we originally thought. I'll be discussing the PI and these photos more during the full Mediator Con Explained video out soon, but I will point out how we get another Taco Cabeza reference, which is kind of funny. We then see Jimmy and Kim meet with Caldera to get a topical drug that dilates the pupils, which they plan on somehow drugging Howard with to continue the scheme that he he has a drug problem. But what's maybe more important is the fact that Caldera tells them that he's retiring, as being a vet is his true passion, as the criminal underworld has become too hot ever since he dealt with the cartel to save Nacho's life in season 4. Caldera lets Jimmy and Kim look at his coded black contact book, which includes Ed the Disappear's vacuum repair shop number. Little do they know how important this little card becomes in the future. So Caldera says that he'll be selling the book to the highest bidder, but we know that Jimmy will eventually get this book into his possession, not only due to Ed's contact card that Saul has in Breaking Bad, but also from the 601 Breaking Bad flash forward in Better Call Saul that shows the contact book in Saul Goodman's Breaking Bad house. I go more in depth in another video where I discuss the contact book completely decoded thanks to a helpful redditor, along with a separate video talking about Ed and his contact card. What I will say is that I think when Caldera retires, he uses Ed the Disappear to help relocate and change names so he can safely become a vet somewhere else in the country without fear of his criminal connection past following him, effectively making Caldera the first person we know of in the Breaking Bad Better Call Saul timeline to ever disappear from Ed. So we then see Cliff enter a courtroom to watch Kim help defend a pro bono client. A funny Easter egg is the fact that the Albuquerque Isotope air freshener is shown, which is a reference to the air freshener that Jeff the cab driver has in the Gene timeline during the season 4 Gene scene. It's the same type of air freshener that Gene saw in the cab, worrying him that the cab driver recognized him, which we know turned out to be true from the season 5 Gene scene. Now I'm not sure if this isotope air freshener has any deeper meaning or connection to Jeff other than just showing that it is a fairly common air freshener in Albuquerque. Kim uses the air freshener in court as the reason why her client was pulled over for having an obstructed view of their front windshield. Now after Kim is done in court, Cliff compliments her hard work defending her client, and that it must have taken a long time to pull together that defense for little pay. Kim admits that she gets paid $700 a case as it's pro bono work, which is the exact same thing that Jimmy was doing in the very first episode of the show back in season 1. Cliff asks her how she left things off with Howard, and although the truth is that they left things off on a bad note, Kim answers with a glass half full explanation. She says that she wouldn't be a lawyer and she wouldn't have met her husband without Howard, which is true since Howard paid for most of her school fees and Kim met Jimmy in the HHM mailroom. Cliff then asks her about the Jackson Mercer Foundation and that they're on the East Coast but coming to their area soon. Cliff offers her an opportunity to go to a meeting in Santa Fe in order to sell the idea of her starting up a pro bono law practice office, which is her dream. Kim then goes to Saul's office and is welcomed by Francesca. I absolutely adore the Kim-Francesca reunion here, as Francesca always liked Kim more than Jimmy while working with them back in season 3. You can really see the difference in attitude that Francesca has when talking to Kim compared to Jimmy. Francesca is so happy and excited to see Kim, but is just incredibly bitter towards Jimmy. We see Francesca has gone to redecorate Saul's office herself, but knowing what it looks like in Breaking Bad, it won't last, and we'll see why in just a moment. She tells Kim the style that she was chosen, along with saying that the back wall was entirely built in the past few weeks, kind of giving some exposition on the timeline. She tells Kim congratulations on the wedding, in regards to marrying Jimmy. It's funny how it takes Kim a minute to even process what Francesca's talking about, really showing that Jimmy and Kim aren't the average married couple. They only bring it up situationally when it suits them, either giving them an advantage in a conversation or to prove a point, or in regards to the spousal privilege that they can't be forced to testify against each other. Kim walks in on Jimmy working with the camera crew, creating a mediator body double, and fun fact, the actor who plays the man that they're using as a body double is actually the real-life father of the actor who plays Aaron Brill. Not only that, but they both worked with Bob Odenkirk on Mr. Show, with it being Aaron's actor's first ever acting role as a child. So back to the show, Kim helps them decide which mustache to use out of a hilarious board of various mustaches. As they said in the previous episode, the mustache was seemingly the most important feature of likeness. Kim tells Jimmy the good news about the Jackson Mercer opportunity that Cliff is giving to her, and that she's been chosen as one of the select few with up-and-coming organizations. Kim says that the meeting takes place on D-Day, which is the day that the Mediator Con will come to fruition, so she's slightly depressed that she might not be able to make the meeting. Now Jimmy says that she doesn't have to be there, saying how Eisenhower wasn't on the beach for D-Day. Eisenhower was a supreme commander and a 5-star ranked general who oversaw and supervised not only the invasion of Africa as part of Operation Torch in 1942 to 1943, but along with the invasion of Normandy from the Western Front in 1944 to 1945. So Kim is reluctant to get excited because she feels like she has to be there for the Mediator Con D-Day, but Jimmy insists that she can go to the meeting and gets excited for her, allowing her to feel happy herself about the Santa Fe meeting. The next day we see Francesca at the office with a full waiting room of less than likable criminal clients. From clients hacking up loogies, to them coughing into a rag, someone passed out snoring on the couch, along with one of them smoking inside the office, putting the cigarette out on the new couch that Francesca just bought. Clearly these execs aren't the type of clients to appreciate Francesca's clean office makeover, ruining it one step at a time. Jimmy asks Francesca if she's made the call, but Francesca seems hesitant. Saul grabs her a burner phone from his iconic drawer of burner phones, which is the first time we canonically see it in the timeline. As you may know, Saul has the drawer of burner phones in Breaking Bad, and it's even used as one of the Better Call Saul intro templates during the theme song. I love how we got an explanation to how Saul has so many burner phones, as him selling them throughout season 4 and season 5 was a major story arc, and now we finally see the drawer come to fruition. So Jimmy brings Francesca outside to the back alley, which is the same alley that Hugo and QB loaded up Walt's money into barrels into the back of a van during Breaking Bad. Now Francesca seems hesitant to make the phone call he wants her to due to the legality of it all. Jimmy peer pressures her into taking the call and pep talks her through it in a similar way that he coached her through first taking phone calls for him as his receptionist in season 3, except this time it's more abrasive. So Jimmy makes Francesca pretend to be the daughter of one of Sandpiper's elder clients in order to get a dial-in number for the Sandpiper case mediation so that Jimmy and Kim can listen into the whole thing and hear it unfold in real time. This is one of the many moments that Jimmy puts her through, causing her moral and ethical viewpoint to curve and become less straight and narrow. As time goes on, Francesca will become more comfortable and used to doing things like this, which is also a callback or foreshadowing to her calling Hank pretending Maria was in the hospital in Breaking Bad to get Hank away from Walt and Jesse's RV so they had time to destroy the evidence of it. As Chuck told Jimmy, he ruins the lives of everyone around him, and sadly by the end of Breaking Bad, Francesca is no different. Considering the way that she acts in Breaking Bad, you can really tell that working for Saul Goodman pays well, but sucks the soul right out of her. Once they return to Saul's office, they see one of his clients pissing in Francesca's new water fountain, being the icing on the cake to ruin her aspirations of having a nice, clean, professional office space. Francesca tells Jimmy to clean it up, and I don't blame her. Now, that night, Jimmy and Kim are in their apartment overlooking the Howard Sandpiper con board. Speaking of which, look out for a con board explained video in the near future. So Jimmy offers to go out, and when Kim asks where, he says Omaha Beach. They're then revealed pitching a blanket and sitting right on the grass beside HHM, right in front of where the main meeting room is. They call it Omaha Beach because it's the front lines to their D-Day, with the mediation meeting happening in that iconic office that we've seen many times ever since the very first episode of Better Call Saul. Also, obviously Omaha Beach and D-Day are referencing World War II, but Jimmy saying Omaha also makes me think of Omaha, Nebraska, which is where Saul relocates to as Gene in hiding. Now, one thing that fans were questioning is how Jimmy and Kim are able to go to this Omaha Beach date when Howard's PI is supposed to be following them. It may seem like a plot hole right now, but it actually gets explained in the next episode, so stay tuned if you haven't seen it yet. So the next morning, Jimmy and Kim leave their apartment, with Kim going to Santa Fe and Jimmy going to D-Day. Beforehand, Jimmy stops at a liquor store to buy a bottle of Zafira Añejo, and whenever you see a bottle of that on Better Call Saul or Breaking Bad, know that something's about to go down. So while waiting in line at the liquor store, Jimmy just so happens to see the mediator, Casimiro, except he has a broken arm now. We cut to Jimmy freaking out in his car, and then he frantically calls Kim, who's driving down the highway to Santa Fe. Now that the mediator has a broken arm, their body double photos won't work, and that they can regroup and come back another day. Kim is silent due to thinking over her options, and she tells Jimmy that this has to happen today. Kim then does a U-turn and returns to Albuquerque, which is the biggest literal bad choice road metaphor we'll ever see on the show, at least I think. Kim was going down good choice road, possibly accomplishing her dreams legitimately with the Santa Fe meeting, but then decides that the mediator con is more important. The decision parallels Walter White deciding to cook meth and provide for his family instead of taking the job at Gray Matter in Breaking Bad season 1. Kim had the option to do what she wants legitimately, but she got so wrapped up in the Howard Sandpiper schemes that she feels like she has to see it through. People wonder what the point of having Jimmy even see Casimiro with the broken arm was, and this is exactly it. The show creators threw a wrench in their plans just as Kim was going to accomplish her dreams legitimately in order to give her this ultimatum. Does Kim want to let the mediator con go in order to go to the Santa Fe meeting to get her dreams legitimately, or will she throw it all away to fix the scheme? Remember, Kim originally wanted the Sandpiper money so she could fund this pro bono law practice, but now she's been given an opportunity to get it anyways without having to do anything nefarious. So just like how Walt turned down Gray Matter for cooking meth, Kim turns down the Santa Fe meeting to force Sandpiper to settle. She doesn't need to, but she chooses this path down bad choice road anyways. Now, her reasoning isn't the exact same as Walt, but she's still given an ultimatum where she could get what she wants legitimately and chooses the nefarious option, and I love that parallel. So the Cartel side of this episode is shorter than usual and doesn't even begin until halfway through the episode. Lalo gives Casper an unexpected visit up at his cabin in the woods. Casper is one of Werner's men from season 4 who was sent home at the beginning of season 5 until Lalo was quote-unquote taken care of. Well, clearly he isn't, and he's now confronting Casper. So we see Casper chopping up firewood with an axe, which becomes quite the Chekhov's axe here in a moment. And also, earlier when Kim originally told Jimmy about the Santa Fe meeting, we cut from them kissing to Casper chopping a piece of wood with the axe, giving sort of a metaphor that maybe Kim and Jimmy's relationship won't last. Casper tells Lalo that it's private property, but Lalo says that he doesn't speak German. Casper asks Lalo if he knows him, to which Lalo says that they haven't officially met. They have been in the same room together when Gus showed Lalo a fake construction operation in the season 5 premiere that Lalo didn't buy. This was the scene where Mike was officially introduced to Lalo. Casper realizes that Lalo's from Albuquerque and involved with Gus Fring in some way, so he grabs his axe and runs away through the forest. Lalo takes out his gun and he does have a line of sight on him, but doesn't want to take a shot as he wants Casper alive, at least long enough to interrogate. Lalo follows Casper into his barn and starts searching the place. Casper pops out of nowhere and hits Lalo with the axe, but with the blunt side of it instead of the sharp end. A little bit of plot armor. Casper should have gutted Lalo while he had the chance, as this proved to be a fatal mistake. Actually, Casper made a handful of mistakes here, which I go into more in depth during my Lalo-Casper confrontation discussion video. Lalo played up how injured he was, having the wind knocked out of him from Casper's non-fatal axe blow. He tells Casper that he met Werner's wife, making Casper think that he killed her. Now Lalo assures him that she's okay, and that he just got information for the manufacturer from the slide rule encased in acrylic. Since Casper must have been the one who ordered the slide rule gift, it led Lalo straight to him. Lalo tricks Casper by getting him to lean in to take the manufacturer's business card, slicing him with a hidden razor blade, giving Lalo the upper hand. Then without hesitation, Lalo grabs the axe and chops Casper's foot off, giving us one of the goriest moments of the show. Lalo rips off his belt to use as a tourniquet for Casper, as he now interrogates Casper on the work that he did for Gus. And since Lalo told Casper his full name and chopped his foot off, I doubt that Casper made it out of this one alive. Again, check out my full video for this scene for a more in-depth analysis. Mike then meets Tyrus in the secret security camera room for the laundromat. In Breaking Bad, Gus had Walt and Jesse on camera in the super lab, but only had his laptop to watch him with, which they end up destroying due to magnets in season 5. But here, Tyrus has an entire security camera room with multiple monitors. Having the security camera room in the laundromat seems a bit fishy to me. Wouldn't Steve Gomez have found this while looking around the place near the end of Breaking Bad season 4? Now I suppose that the security room Tyrus and Mike are in only has security cameras covering the above ground public floor to the laundromat along with outside, but I feel like Gomi still would have been a little bit tipped off having so many cameras for a laundromat. It could imply that they were hiding something nefarious, or at least they would have something to guard. Anyways, Tyrus asks Mike why he took guys off of watching his own house, as Lalo knows him so he could still show up there. Mike says that he hasn't been home for more than an hour in the past 3 weeks, and that since his men are stretched so thin, he made a judgment call. Tyrus starts listing off all the places that Mike has his men stretched thin at, including the lawyers, meaning Jimmy and Kim, a garage, and Nacho's father's business. This is actually like pretty much the only time we've had any sort of reference to anything that's happened with the Nacho arc, and I really wish that we got to see more in regards to his father or just the Nacho aftermath, but that's a different discussion for another time. Tyrus says that the most logical place to pull guys off of is Alameda Street as it's a long shot, but Mike insists that they keep their men there. Mike stands up to Tyrus saying that if Gus has a problem, he knows how to reach him, and that if Tyrus has a problem, he's right here, implying that Tyrus can get in a physical altercation with him if he really has an issue with this. Mike standing up to Tyrus reminds me of Mike standing up to Gus in season 4, telling Gus to stop messing around and tell him about the job. Now just like in season 4, this tactic works here and Tyrus just stands down and walks away. So what's at Alameda Street? As we find out, it's the street that Mike's family, Stacy, and Kaylee live on. Mike would rather keep his family protected over having men at his own vacant house. So in a way, Tyrus is technically right. Lalo's more likely to go to Mike's own house than his family's, but I completely understand why Mike would make this call to keep his family protected instead, and I agree with him and stand by this decision. Tyrus must know this too, showing just how much of a dick he is, implying that he'd rather have Mike's men watch an empty house over protecting Mike's family, just because they're slightly more likely to catch Lalo that way. Anyways, it's shown that Mike's men are stationed at a house across the street from Stacy's, and Mike enters it to watch Stacy and Kaylee stargaze while on the phone with them. them. There was actually a social media video released right before season 6 about Mike explaining how to find Jupiter, which was very mysterious, but now it all makes sense. This is actually one of my favorite Stacy and Kaylee moments out of all of Better Call Saul, aside from obviously the episode 5-0. So this is short and sweet, but a great Mike family moment that also plays into the plot quite a lot better than previous Stacy Kaylee scenes. A quick few nitpicks though. This has to be one of the quickest stargazing sessions ever. Yes, it's due to needing to keep the scene short, but still. Also, doesn't this seem like a backyard activity instead of a front yard activity? Again, obviously it's to make the scene work so Mike can see them while this is all happening, but it'd make more sense to keep the telescope in the backyard instead of having to drag it out to the front yard every time they want to stargaze. I'm giving this episode a strong B tier. I feel like this almost gets an A tier, but just not quite. I love the Kim flashback, along with Kim's decision to go down Bad Choice Road at the end of the episode. Interactions with Francesca are always fun, and it's interesting to see her vision of Saul's office before it becomes the Breaking Bad cathedral of justice that we all know and love. It's also cool to see Howard and his wife, although I wish we could have gotten more of them throughout the series. The Cartel side of the show this episode is a little weak, although I do like the Lalo and Casper confrontation, along with Mike standing up to Tyrus and then going to see his family. There's a lot of small nitpicks that bother me. If it was just 1 or 2 then whatever, but there's like 4 nitpicks with Casper, along with Lalo having plot armor, and then 2 nitpicks with the stargazing scene, and then another with the laundry security cameras. Now, Giancarlo Esposito also directed this episode, and he did an amazing job. He gets an A+ on the directing, but I'm ranking the episode with its entirety overall in regards to my enjoyment for it. I feel a little reluctant to give this episode only a B tier, especially since I gave episode 605 an A, but I honestly kind of like 605 more because I do think that episode 605 is just as much of a payoff episode as it is a setup episode, and I think 605 is kind of underrated and gets more flack than it deserves. 606 is good, but it is just a setup episode, at least in my opinion. Obviously, everyone's opinion's going to be different. And also, this is just how I feel as I create this review right now. Maybe it's partly due to creating the review a few weeks late, but it's possible I would have given it an A tier the same week it released. That being said, after my 607 review, I will be doing a full Season 6 Part 1 tier list where I watch the first 7 episodes of the show again and re-rank them on a tier list.
Well, I can't wait to see the final product.
I'll take my original rankings from all of these Season 6 reviews into strong consideration. I'll probably leave most of them the same, but I might rework my rankings slightly on how I feel about each episode now that the first half of Season 6 has been released, compared to how I initially felt when each episode aired individually. Keep a lookout on the channel for a Season 6 Part 1 tier list once I finish doing all my tier lists for Seasons 1 to 5. I'd appreciate a like on the video if you've enjoyed anything I've said today, and if you're new to the channel and just haven't yet already, subscribe and hit that bell notification to stay updated on when I post new content on Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad. Check out my Patreon or give a super thanks to help support the channel financially. If you got a few spare bucks lying around, it'd mean a lot, and also thanks to those who have already. But most importantly, I thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out!
Hey, let's go out.
Out where?
Omaha Beach.